I was good on my own, that's the way it was. That's the way it was. You was good on the low for a faded fuck.
And we're back.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome to another episode of Vibrant Vocations. I'm your girl, Joy.
I'm Melissa.
And we have been gone for a couple of months. Sorry,
y'all.
Sorry.
We told y'all in the beginning we were students. I don't know what else to say.
This is the last year, though. Yes. This is the last year. We're really in our final stretch. So I imagine that we will be recording at a more regular cadence. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're here with us, share, subscribe, etc., etc., etc.
All that good stuff.
Now, you know we got to get into the good stuff first. Our check-ins.
Let's check in.
Okay. First and foremost, what are you grateful for?
I have no lies for y'all. I am grateful that there are 35 more days of the school year. I have been hung and left out to dry, and I'm over it. I just need the school year to be over. We are doing state testing right now, so my educators who do the grades that do that, you already know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow is actually the last day. I have another full week, and then I'll be on spring break, so that'd be a nice refresher.
Yeah, spring break.
But let's get to the end of the school year.
They need to give spring break to working adults in all professions.
I agree.
At least like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days is more than enough.
It doesn't have to be a whole week. Mm-hmm. I really miss spring break.
I really miss spring break. I just want you guys to know that.
I do. It does something for your spirit.
Absolutely.
When the spring is coming along, our days are longer, you know, but oh well, such is life.
What about you? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for tons of stuff right now, but I'm actually really grateful. I started with a new therapist this month. Ironically enough, her name is Jocelyn. For our viewers, my name is Joycelyn, just in case you guys didn't know. And we just have a lot of things in common. I've had my same therapist since 2017.
It's a long time.
I had a therapist from 2013 to 2017, and I had the same therapist from 2017 up until December of last year. So that's a long time. Yeah. And I'm very grateful to her. I love her. We've done exceptional work together. But it was time for something new.
Absolutely.
She helped me build some skills up in my toolkit, and there was still room for growth. Okay. So nevertheless, I am excited about this new opportunity. It truly is a blessing. I recognize that therapy is a luxury, you know, for some, you know, it's not the first thing on people's minds.
Right.
Right. One of my best friends mentioned to me, like, it's really nice to finally be navigating through, if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, she mentioned about finally being able to navigate through the top of the pyramid, which is self-actualization. And that's your own sense of determination. That's your autonomy. That's you essentially defining your purpose and walking in your purpose. And so that does feel really good. That's a blessing. And so I believe, you know, we're big advocates for therapy, but we also are completely understanding that that's not everybody's urgency.
For sure.
Right? You got, if you're trying to feed your family, or maybe you just got laid off, the cost of living is very high right now. The last thing that's probably on your mind is therapy. But the reality is that you can find a therapist. Wife here mentioned ZocDoc. So if you are insured, certainly you can go through ZocDoc, put your insurance in, and they'll align you with a therapist that's covered by your insurance. And I don't get any money for saying that. I'm just trying to
so
to
if
help
you hear
you
this, ZocDoc, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Period. Okay, so food addictions, our favorite. Yay!
There's always a new food addiction. I have one now that's not the best. It's not the worst. There are worse food addictions. Around the time that my kids have snack, they are really big on chips. And so I am finding myself in a trend of like 11 o'clock, wanting a bag of chips.
At 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
We did that in high school.
We did.
It was breakfast.
It was.
The people in high school used to hustle, and they sold the chips, the candy, and it was your breakfast.
My kids still try to do it. They come in with those chips, and I'm like, you have to put those away. We are not having chips for breakfast. But yeah, chips. And so when I'm in the store, I find myself just like grabbing a few bags and just like, this will be my snack. And then if I pack a snack, right, like I'm intentional about packing something better.
Sure.
I'm like, where are the chips? I'm looking for chips.
You brought an apple, but
I would rather have some Flaming Ice. And my grown age.
I think that's fair.
Chips.
For me, it's very similar, actually. I too am roaming the aisles of the grocery stores, grabbing bags of popcorn. I love to see a 2 for $5.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of popcorn. You understand? Regular, movie theater, white cheddar, hot cheddar cheese, all of it. I work downtown, so you have your Garrett's.
You're not a fan of Garrett's?
I love Garrett's, but I have not told anybody that I've been going to Garrett's.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a secret.
This is new.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my goodness.
I've been going to Garrett's to get an extra Chicago mix because it definitely, I get small.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
It'd be different if you was going there getting a 10.
I'm really enjoying popcorn right now.
Popcorn is good.
It didn't like, I'm ashamed to say, like, it almost follows me. It does follow me to bed. I'll wake up out of the middle of the night, out of my sleep, and go have some popcorn or cashews. Mostly popcorn.
We listen and we don't judge.
Thank you. What books are you reading, or what shows are you binging right now?
So I actually have been off of TV for a little while.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I love the but it wasn't even intentional. I can't even take the credit for that. I just get home, I'm tired, I'm doing homework, and just the TV is not coming on.
That's real.
And if I'm turning it on, I'm usually going to YouTube and finding like some slow R&B mix, like to just vibe out to. But I had picked it up in the last few weeks, and so really I'm just catching up on things I was watching before I was off of there. For those of you who don't know, I pretty much took like a full social hiatus for March, so I was not on. Okay, let me put it out there. I was not on any social medias where I would see like people's posts, I guess, that I know that sounds kind of weird. Because we see people, right? We see people on social media, and that's where you get to comparing and you get to second guessing and things like that. The only app that I was on was TikTok, where I'm like looking at people I don't know, funny stuff. Yeah, like it's comfort. It's a comfort app. And then I made a new Twitter. I was not following anyone, so I could talk to myself, because Twitter is a part of my life. So I'm just like, I have to have these tweets going. It's like getting it out of my brain is really therapeutic for me.
Nice.
But I'm like, I don't want to look at people's stuff. Like, I don't want to.
I made a separate
Twitter.
Quiz on the TikTok a lot too.
Love TikTok.
Yeah,
real bad. But I think TV just kind of went along with that, and so now I'm just catching up on the shows I was watching. So I finally, for y'all who watch it, I finally finished Love Island, y'all. First of all, let me tell you something. I was never in a rush to finish Love Island, because by the time I started watching it, I already knew who was gonna win. So I was just taking my time. But I was like, I gotta get into this, because they kept coming up on my TikTok, and I was like, I gotta know what happens. I'm on the reunion now, Real Housewives of Potomac. I would say free Karen Huger, but that's very controversial. She needs to do her time.
Is she in jail?
Girl, for a DUI.
They lock you up for that?
They locked her up. I think she got like 2 years. Yeah.
Listen,
Ciao.
I was actually about to Google that. Not right now.
Not right now. We'll Google after we finish recording. We have to talk about Karen Huger. But yeah, that's what. Catching up on my TV shows. What about you?
Oh, gosh.
What you been reading? She's the reader of us.
I've been reading.
I can't wait to come back and tell y'all I opened the book. This is my smarter half.
LOL. I actually can't tolerate much TV. I don't know what it is. I was just actually texting her earlier about it. Like, my comfort show, if you know me, is Bob's Burgers. I'm gonna turn that on. I've been watching Bob's Burgers every night since 2014. I've not missed a beat. And I'm gonna laugh at it like I've never seen it before. But as far as like new shows, I don't know what it is. It's just like,
yeah,
can't. I don't care. But what I am doing is reading. So I am a part of a book club. Yay! And so here are some of the books that we've read. I got them up there for you. This is the one we're on right now. Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout. At first, listen, let me start by saying that this is a #1 New York Times bestselling author, her, okay? So she does an excellent job at storytelling. It's on Oprah's Book Club of 2024, and it's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, just saying. So if you decide to read that, you're going to open it up and you'll be like, WTF, because it really is all over the place, but that's how Elizabeth Strout writes. If you keep reading it, you will catch the rhythm, and it will become an immersive experience. It is literally a story about storytelling. It's called Tell Me Everything. Okay, these people are around this small town and they running their mouths. It's 100% Yappuccinos, but it's great. I'm enjoying it. It's funny. My favorite character in there is Olive Ketteridge. If you read it, you'll know. Olive Ketteridge. She's cute, little spicy. I'm assuming she's an elderly woman. Okay. I don't think they told me. And the other book that I'm listening to, I'm not reading it. It's an audio book. It's called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. She too is a very good storyteller. She is narrating her book. Okay. I like when they do that. Me too. Big fan. I listened to Michelle Obama read Becoming to Me 3 times. Yes. I am a big fan of that. So those are the 2 things. I said, maybe like I tell myself, maybe I'll start a new show. Right. When you're ready. Maybe not. You don't want to start a new show. I'm not ready to start a new TV show. I too have been pretty unplugged from social media. It's just been really nice in this little bubble. Yeah. Hello. Say it again. Bubble. Bubble. Yes. I don't know what's going on, y'all. I don't know what's going on in the world. Bubble. Sorry. Ignorance is bliss. Now I know what that means. Yeah. Like in its entirety. For sure. Anyway, let's get into this episode. Y'all. So today's episode is entitled, It Felt Like a Fairy Tale Until It Didn't. Until it didn't. And you may be thinking, ladies, what on earth are y'all about to talk about? Well, we are talking about boom, 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 take cover, incoming love bombs. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're talking about love bombs. Let's get into it. To be honest, y'all, before we get started, I don't want you guys to think like, okay, yeah, love bombs, like, okay, they have all these examples. It's been happening for years. Yes, it has. However, we ourselves are very new to the term. We are very new to what it is and new to recognizing that is, in fact, what has happened in some situations. So if you are very new to this definition and this term as well, you are not by yourself. Yes. Sister or brother. Okay. Now, let's get into it. So first of all, what is love bombing? Okay. We are in a generation of aesthetics. Okay. We are in a generation where what you want romantically, a lot of people try to find that in existing couples, right? And the biggest way that we usually see it is through social media. Right? We see these celebrity couples, we see these influencer couples, and we're like, oh, look at them, look at how they're living. Everything looks great. I want that. Let me tell y'all, I am here to tell y'all, regardless of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, we don't know those people. And at the end of the day, they are entertainers and they are giving us a show. A show is still a show. Clock that T. So let's actually talk about the definition of love bombing. Okay. So love bombing is a form of manipulation where someone overwhelms you with excessive attention, gifts, compliments, or promises early on, usually to gain control or to create emotional dependency. Yikes. Yikes. That's a mouthful. And it's a mouthful of so many different things where it's like, damn, you know, like, yikes. But let's look at some common characteristics, right? Because again, that is a mouthful. So what does that look like in real time? It could be intense and rapid. So what I mean by that is those are early declarations of love, that's significant talk of the future. And I mean, within days of getting to know somebody, right? Yeah. That's when you meet that person and they're like, you know, I see this is my wife. And they're telling you that, right? Because it's one thing to have conversations with our friends and say, oh girl, I think I have met my husband. Right. But I'm not rushing to go get a wedding dress and be ready. Okay. So there's a difference. Another common characteristic is overwhelming gestures. So those over the top gifts or immediately pushing to be exclusive.
right? So again, dating takes time, y'all. I don't know if y'all know that. Dating should take time. But if you have met somebody last week and this is now date number 3 and they're like, I just want you, I don't want anybody else.
I just bought you a Lamborghini.
I bought you a Lamborghini because I want you to be my one. It's me and you locked in. I am so sorry to report that is a love bomb. That is an intense love bomb, and you should not accept that car. And you know, I have to be honest, there is a 20-year-old version of me in the world who would have never said that. You should not accept that car. Okay? It comes with things.
Yes.
Another characteristic, inconsistent behavior. Okay? That one, I'm sure some of you are like, oh, I didn't know that was love bombing. Yes, it is. Okay? If somebody is coming out the gate hot, they are all about you, been about you, nobody else but you. But then in a matter of days, right? In a matter of a week, it's like they pull back. Oh, I've been busy. Oh, I've been at work. Oh, I've been this. You were at work last week when you were all about me.
Did you change your job?
What happened? like for it to be that severe and that like instant of a change, that is indeed love bombing.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is tough. And I think that's probably, just off the top of my head, probably one of the most common ones that people, you know, because people pull back and it's like, well, what did I do?
What happened?
Yeah. You've been loved on. That's what happened. Another one, ulterior motives. Okay. And so what I mean by that is what that connection means for them. You may be out here genuinely soul searching for your person. And for them, who knows? Who knows what that looks like? You know, maybe it's like, well, I have a perfect example. Actually, it just came off the top of my head. So follow me, y'all. Right? Let's think about high school. Okay. You're in high school. You got this crush. And maybe, you know, I know it sounds very Disney Channel, but maybe you weren't the most popular or the most known or the most attractive. You had to have your glow up. Okay. And now you have that glow up. And now this person that walks past you every single day, ignoring you when you didn't have that glow up, is like, hey, what's up? An ulterior motive in that example could be, well, I just want to bag her to say I bagged her. She's here. She's fine. I wanted that. I always wanted that, and I'm getting it now. That is an example of an ulterior motive. We have those genuine things that we're looking for, but it's not always genuine for everybody. Another example, right, is distractions. Distracting somebody from red flags. You know, so that could look like, you're in a situation with somebody, okay? And you are talking about your dating history. And you're like, yeah, this person did this and did this and did that. And now this person here is bashing that ex-person. You weren't even bashing the ex-person. You were just making conversation. But for them, they're like, I need to bash this so that this person is focused on how that wasn't good for them from that person. So they don't see that I'm about to lock in and do the same thing. I want it to be out for me. I want it to be like connecting that emotion to that person. So when I'm stepping in and I'm helping out, it's like, oh, this person would never. When in fact, here they are to do the same thing.
Showing up the same way.
Hello?
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
Tough.
And another big characteristic is confusion. Now, I know that we get on here, y'all, and we tell you that we are both women of faith and we respect, you know, whatever people believe. But for our other viewers out there that are indeed Christians and people of faith, we do not serve a God of confusion.
No.
And so anything that is confusing around you is not for you because God didn't place it there.
That's it. And
with that being said, sometimes when you're being love bombed, there's that confusion, right? Because it's like, this feels amazing. Should it feel this amazing so soon? Should these things that this person is saying that may have once been a boundary for someone else feel so good? You know, it's just so many thoughts. There's so many thoughts. There's so much confusion going on. It's like, this is too good to be true. And what do they say? If it's too good to be true, it usually is. Okay. Sorry to report that, but I want my folks out there to know if you are potentially being love bombed, because sometimes it's hard to get out of and sometimes you don't recognize it. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, right, because somebody out there is like, okay, but I've seen this, but I promise y'all, Melissa Joy, it's not that.
I want to be a love bomb.
Yeah, it might not be that, because there are also things that would be considered healthy early stage affection.
Okay.
And I'm here to give y'all the difference, okay? So we talked about love bombing and how it's manipulation. It's fully manipulation. However they want to spend it, the gifts, the attention, whatever it is, it's manipulation. On the other end of that, healthy early stage affection is a natural, mutual, let's highlight that, mutual
Okay.
expression of interest, care, and romantic excitement in the early stages of getting to know somebody. So those are different. They're very different, okay? So what do those characteristics look like?
Okay.
Mutual pace. Okay.
Y'all
So
on the
that
same
means
page.
y'all are on the same page. You are talking, you're having these conversations, but nobody is rushing ahead of the other. We are not talking about months down the line and going, to the altar. We are talking about our date next week. I saw this golf place. Me too. Let's go. Mutual pace. Taking it on whatever pace is comfortable for y'all. Okay. And also in the sense of that, also being transparent. Okay. A really, I hate to say good example because there's nothing about love bombing is good, but a good example of love bombing is when somebody is telling you all these things and you're like, oh, they're being vulnerable, they're being transparent, but it's one-sided. That's the difference between love bombing and that healthy early stage affection. If it's mutual, if that person has made the space safe enough for you to feel like you can share things as well, that's healthy. That is a-okay. That is just fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another one is respect for boundaries. Boundaries are very important when it comes to love bombing. Boundaries are very important when it comes to dating.
Yeah.
Because it is so easy to just be like, well, yeah, I feel this way, but this person, don't ever this person. Your boundaries are your boundaries for a reason. There was a moment that you were in that led you to be like, this is a hard no for me. This is a hard stop for me. And you need to stand on that every time. Mm-hmm. Every time. And again, I just want to reiterate that this is not just for the ladies. I am talking to everybody. I am talking to everybody.
All of y'all.
All of y'all.
And boundaries don't necessarily have to be something that you've derived from a negative situation. Yeah, I have a boundary. It's called a bedtime. Like,
yes,
I go to sleep at night. I have another boundary. If my phone's on D&D, that's a boundary too. You know what I mean? So that. It doesn't always have to be, or take your shoes off before you come in the house. So I just adding to what Melissa is saying, like those boundaries. Yes, you can come up with those hard boundaries in your dating experiences because dating helps you identify what you like and what you don't like. Mm-hmm. And then you can derive those boundaries from those interactions. But also, you need to have boundaries for yourself too. Absolutely. Yeah, she fine. Yeah, he fine. But you got to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Right. I'm happy you said that. That's a good one. Because, yeah, it's very easy to be like, well, this person only works nights, so I have to stay up and talk to them. No. If this is a boundary for you and this person you guys are mutual about the pace that you want to take, they will respect that. Yeah. They will find
y'all got to figure that out, right?
For sure. That's good. Another one, consistency over intensity.
That's good. Say it again.
Consistency over intensity.
Use that for the gym too.
Yes. Oh, yes, for the gym. Yes, for the gym. Mm-hmm. We talked in the other example, of course, about love bombing, about it being intense, about it feeling intense. That's one of the number one things. It's like, oh, I don't know about this, right? That's where that confusion comes in. But if you are in a situation where somebody is being consistent, and maybe consistency for them is slow. Maybe it is a slow burn for them. That matters, and that is so much more healthy than someone just coming at you like, I'm here, I want this, I want you, boom. Do not confuse that intensity for, okay, this means that this is the real deal. No, that person who cares to check in with you, whatever your day looks like, whatever your week looks like, that person who's doing those consistent efforts, that's healthy.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you get I want to say something because I just had a phone call with one of my really good friends. And she noticed something right away. Like if you're in regular conversation with someone that's courting you, or you guys are getting to know each other, and then all of a sudden it just stops, like you're going to inquire about that, Absolutely. Right? Like you're going to want to know like what happened here because this is what we've been doing, mm-hmm. and now it's stopped.
Right.
And one of the things that pisses me off the most is when you confront the individual.
Yes.
Like, so what's up? Okay. Like, is there an issue? Is there something that we need to talk about? and that individual denies that anything is wrong.
No, I'm cool. Ain't nothing going on.
Don't piss me off.
Don't piss me off. No, that's real. That's real. And that, dare I say, goes back to that point of pulling those attachments away.
Yeah.
That's love bombing, you guys. If that person cannot, because we know what our day to day looks like. I can give you an example, even non-romantic. And I think we've said this before. We talk every single day.
Yeah.
If there is, and it may not be first thing in the morning, I'm not a morning person, she is. But if we get to 2:00 and we have not heard from each other, there is a problem.
Did you get hit by a car?
Right, like, are you okay? There's no way you're still breathing right now, because why have I not heard from you? But an example like that, and for someone, for either of us, like if I say it with me, right? I'm the Virgo. I'm the one to be like, oh, I'm not talking to anybody. So let's just say she's like, hey, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me what's actually going on with you.
Yeah.
Because that just gives that opportunity for, like, I'm taking this moment, I'm making this moment about me. I don't actually care what's, because at that point in time, I don't know what her day has looked like. She could have been trying to be considerate about, me being at work or whatever the case was going on, and actually has had a terrible day. And at that point needs someone to talk to. And by me saying I'm fine, that just shows I didn't want to talk to you. I'm being dismissive of your feelings. That's what that means.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Oh boy. I was going to spin something, but I wanted to stay focused.
You sure? I love a good spin.
Yeah, because when you, energy is a thing, guys. You can feel it. You know what I mean? I think me and her are so in tune with each other that the both of us have been able to pick up on when something is off, right? Also wise enough to not probe at the situation, but make sure that the other person understands I'm here whenever you're ready.
Right.
Like, I have the space, it's safe whenever you're ready. But because there have been times on both of our ends where, she's either reaching out to me and I'm having one of my moments where I need to be in the dark and on the charger, or I'm reaching out to her and the kids are spazzing.
As it happens.
She walked into a fight the other day.
Oh, God.
You just can pick up on it. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So that also is something that you can pick up on in your romantic partners as well. Yes. And so with that being as it may, I like to say, because I too have done this, right? That's a perfect opportunity that when your romantic partner reaches out to you and they're checking in, if you're in this space where you're like, I don't want to be bothered, it's okay to communicate that you know what? I got a lot of stuff on my mind and I'm really, not wanting to interact so much, or
it's okay.
I'll get back to you, or whatever the case may be. But you need to communicate that with that person in real time. I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I can't even pinpoint it, but just give me a moment to sit with this, and then I promise to come to you. You know what I mean? So those are some things that you just want to be considerate of, because the avoidance actually makes things worse.
Absolutely.
So that was my little
yeah. No, that's good. Very, very relevant. Yeah, very relevant. And to end the healthy early stage affection, the last one would just be the no strings attached.
None.
And what that means is, going back to those big grandiose gifts and things like that. Some people in this world are gift givers, y'all. They just love to give of whatever it may be. Yeah. And we have to learn that that's not always a red flag. It just depends on what it is. And it depends on how it's given, right? So it's healthy when they're giving you things freely. The compliments are free. The attention, the kindness, is all free. It's not a matter of tit for tat. We're not keeping score. We're not trying to get something in return. We're not trying to hold it over somebody's head. When it's healthy, you feel it. Yeah. When somebody gets you a gift that's like a guilt gift, or like, I just want to be able to say I bought this, you can feel that. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. And you're not even probably taking it out the bag at that point.
Right.
Maybe you're regifting it. I mean, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience, because it took me a while to get to a place of comfort to allow people to give me things, right? Yeah. And so because I had that wiring, I had that thinking like, it's something to this. But that is not everybody. I'm so glad that you said that. It is, some people's gift is to give. Yeah. right? And that can be a giver of things, a giver of time, whatever the case may be. So with that being as it may, it is important that, we stay in tune with ourselves to be able to discern, like, what's to this person.
Right.
Is, I know for a fact I had an ex. We have decided we are not revealing any names in this episode, but I had an ex who I just knew anytime I got something from him, he did something.
Right.
And so I was extremely reluctant to receiving anything from him, because every time I got something, the thought is, what did you do?
Right. What's behind this?
What is behind this? You know what I mean? And I mean, how sad, right? Because myself, I am a giver, right? It's very, if it's on my heart, if God puts it on my heart to say, bless this person in this way, or I'm thinking about this person, or this person's been going through that, and you get a thoughtful gift in that regard, that fills my cup, right? So if there's going to be any exchange, that's the exchange, right? Like, that's me being obedient to my spirit. And in that obedience, my cup is being filled, right? And they're being blessed in the same, right? So I hate to sound preachy, but I do want people to use the gift of discernment, because it's a lot of fool people out here. I hate to say that.
It is.
I hate to say that.
Reality.
It's a nasty reality. If you got some 2-3 solid people next to you, keep them 2-3 solid people next to you, because it's a world full of con artists. Okay, so I guess we can wrap that portion up with this. Love bombing is essentially intensity without depth. Yes. It's a very superficial space. People are not digging to the layers. They're not necessarily trying to get to know all of the intricacies that make up you, and they're not trying to dispel that about themselves. They're trying to essentially come in and either control, manipulate, and I'm going to add an extra layer to this, because in preparation for this podcast episode, I had to do a lot of mirror work, like researching. Love bombing is a new term for me. Okay. Melly prefaced you guys, but my nephew taught me what love bombing is, and he's 10 years younger than me. So there's that. But I didn't know. I was like, what is love bombing? Like, what's to that? And as I began to research about it, I'm just like, why would someone do that? Right. But then I had this second thought, like, have I done this to somebody before? You know what I mean? So I am under the belief that love bombing can also be unintentional.
Very much.
I am not a malicious person. So if I can speak from a very transparent place, because we're going to dive into personal experiences, no names, but we are going to dive into personal experiences. We need to be real about the fact that not all love bombing is calculated and malicious. For some people, it is. For sure. For some people, I actually dated a guy who always had these very grandiose gestures, and he even admitted to the fact of wanting to. I think he was in his mid-30s. I might have been late 20s, not a bad age gap, but he admitted to the fact that he didn't want to date anybody his age because it was easier, essentially, to control and groom someone who was my age, because you have not experienced enough quote unquote bullshit. Right. And I was appalled, but but also I was like, thank you for revealing this to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm all about making an informed decision. So thank you for showing me your hand. I want nothing to do with you. Right. But nevertheless, it's not always coming from a place of malice. And I had to look inside. We were going back and forth about this episode for a little bit. Because I was like, damn, G, like, did I do this to somebody? Because I am a gift giver. But I don't give with the expectation of getting anything back. Right. So I know that definitely makes a difference. Sure. You know what I mean? Like I said, I give by way of obedience. If my spirit leads me to do something, I comply to it. Okay. And in that, my cup gets filled by way of being obedient to the Spirit, and that person ends up being blessed with something tangible.
Yeah.
Right. So that's me. I'm not only talking about me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that people can kind of relate to this in a sense, because sometimes you overextend and you overgive and you overcompensate, and it might be coming from a place of hurt. It might be coming from a place of pain, a place of fear, a place of abandonment or attachment issues. I am very blessed to say that I came from having a very anxious attachment style to a more secure attachment style. But that doesn't mean that anxiety doesn't pre-plan from time to time, right? With that being as it may, it's kind of difficult to spot sometimes. That's why you got to spend enough time with the individual to really get to the core of them. People are not, they're not superficial. You know what I mean? So some of the root causes of unintentionally love bombing somebody could be fear of abandonment, unhealed trauma or childhood wounds, as I mentioned earlier, having low self-esteem, masked as grandiosity. So those are those big gifts. People that come in wanting to pay your rent, your bills, take care of your, you know, the child care, whatever.
And it sounds so nice, y'all. It sounds so nice, but it's bad. No, too soon.
Something's going on underneath the layers. It's a very distorted view of love, okay? And it equals performance. So that's why we say it's this very intense show without a whole lot of depth, because it takes time. And listen, we're not here trying to demonize people. That's why I use myself as an example. That's why I sat with it as long as I sat with it, because I really did have to look in the mirror and ask myself as I was reading through these things, like, have you done this to somebody before? You know what I mean?
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally, considering the feedback, etc. But we're naming patterns here. That's what we're doing here. Because once you name something, that's when it becomes real to you. You then get to choose something different. If you have an anger problem, and everybody telling you got an anger problem, except you, you not owning that you got an anger problem, I ain't got no anger problem, then there's no way to get to the other side of that. People are just gonna think you angry. Okay? You have to call it out, call out the pattern. Here's the truth. A lot of us have operated from very wounded places, okay? Without even realizing it. All right? A lot of us have done that. You are not alone. We've poured too fast. We've clung too fast. We've shown up too big, okay? Y'all going to the movies, she expecting you to buy the popcorn, and you done brought her a Louis bag.
Too much.
In a cutie link.
The Louis bag and the cutie link for the movies.
I thought we were going to the movies.
Yeah.
What? Like, it's incongruent at that point, because we're craving these connections. We're craving a sense of safety or reassurance in this external validation, and it doesn't necessarily make you a manipulator.
Right.
That is a deficit for sure. Okay? There's some holes there that need to be filled up for sure, but you have to call these things out, because you're not coming from a malicious place. You're not trying to be manipulative. You're being human. You're being a hurt human, all right? Because all of us have this stuff, and it's not always black and white. Like I said, I had to sit with this. I really did. I had to sit with this. Like she's my witness. I went back and forth. Like, I think I might have done this to somebody. Okay. Because you're trying to hold on to something. You don't want to lose it.
I was just about to say that. It's just as simple as being like, I just really wanted you to choose me. I just really wanted to stand out.
Like, I really wanted you to choose me.
Yeah.
That's it right there. And that's why we got to talk about this. Because not just to call it out in others, but check yourself. Right. Check yourself too. Like, look in the mirror like, okay, you calling somebody else to pick me, but
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Okay? Growth is both mirror and window.
I like that.
Okay? It's both being able to look in the mirror and also look through the mirror, through the window. So consider that. When you're ready to, pick out the speck in somebody else's eye, pick the one out in your own.
Hello.
We can get into some juicy stuff
Let's
now.
get into some juicy stuff. No names. No names.
No names.
So let's talk personal experience, right? Because we have defined it, what it looks like to be love bombed versus those healthy connections. We have also given examples of maybe somebody was not doing that on purpose. But you still are like, okay, I hear you. But what does that look like? And we just gonna go back and forth and give you some examples, okay?
Yeah.
I can think of a time that I was love bombed. I did not think that it was this at that point in time, y'all. I was head over heels, okay? I was enthralled. I was in love, okay? I was dating somebody who very, very classic moving too fast, right? I want to do this with you and do this with you, and it wasn't, you know, like the thing. I'll tell y'all a little truth, okay? The things that get me are conversations about vacations because I love to travel. So if a guy is like, yeah, I want to take you here, I'm gonna be like, oh, when? But I'm gonna keep it in the back of my head. I just met you. We're not going anywhere, sir. You know what I mean? But you know, for somebody to just be like, no, I really want you to be my wife. We're gonna do like that's what I was hearing, y'all. But then turned around and was a gigantic liar. We had conversations about children, the children that he already had, okay? I'm gonna give y'all a prime example. This man mentioned a son. So I said, oh, how many kids do you have? His answer was, I have a son. We were going for a walk and he mentioned a daughter. And I said, oh, I thought you just had the son. And he goes, no, I got 4 kids. Like, how did we get here? And it was just so manipulative at that point in time because it's a matter like that. The conversation about the kids was later, right? That first conversation was initial. So it's kind of that draw in, you know, because you can decide how you feel about someone else's kids. If you are for it, you're for it. And if you're not, you're not. And I feel like, what is it that you informed decision? I feel like that informed decision was taken away from me because here I am like, okay, we can keep going with this. You have 1 son. And now you're telling me you have 4 children. The youngest under 1.
You gotta be for real. Stop playing.
Love bombing.
Love bombing. Oh boy. Okay. So I met someone at a party. It was a party, a backyard party. Do I want to use that example?
It's probably a good example. We love a little backyard party.
Like, let me think about this for real because
Maybe not that one.
maybe not that one.
Maybe not that one.
I don't know. Maybe that one. Maybe not that one. No.
No.
Yeah, that one. So I was talking to this nice young man at this party. He was apparently, you know, flirtatious. There were a lot of beautiful women there, and he called themselves like, you know, working a room in a sense, and that's fine. He all right, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say he was drop dead gorgeous to me,
right,
but he also wasn't, you know, unattractive. He was an attractive guy.
Yeah.
But he considers himself to be even more attractive because he was so wealthy, right? And because money in so many people's mind is in fact everything to them. It's their power, it's everything to them. That's how he was moving through the party. And I mean, I could see it all over him. Like, it was so very apparent. I entertained this gentleman, I can't tell you for how long because it wasn't that long. And I simply okay, I'm sorry. I simply entertained him for my own entertainment, if I can say that. Like, he threw fabulous parties. They were a good time, very much so a vibe. He had a beautiful home. He did a good job with, you know, dates, etc., etc. So I had a good time with him. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't marrying him.
Right.
I knew that. You know what I mean? But it was like, you fine, let's do this, you know. And he would just the first weekend, let's go to Jamaica. I'm finna go to Jamaica. It's Valentine's Day. I want to take you to. No, I'm not going anywhere. I have an actual rule. of not traveling internationally with someone until I traveled domestically with them.
That's a good one.
Because I got to see just how crazy you are.
Right, in the United States, where people can get to me.
Where people can get to me and I can get away, right? But that was never happening. I did not have that kind of trust for that gentleman. He was a good time and he was proximal, but he had such grandiose things. Like he had these cars and he would go buy a car often, and we would do these very luxurious meals and dates, and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean, that's cool. Unimpressed, right? And I know that ate him up so bad. I'll never forget, guys. Like, I just know he'll never watch this, so I'm gonna just spill the beans. But I'll never forget. He was irritating me real bad, okay? Like, we were at his house, we were kicking it. At the time, I was working in marketing, so I did a lot of remote work, and I was doing some work. He asked me to come over. Cool, you watching TV. I'm working, this, that, and the third. But he's drinking a little bit. He's drinking a little lot. A lot of it, right? Mm-hmm. And so he gets a bit inebriated, and he just gets to yapping, okay? He's saying so much, like, I can do this for you, and why don't you just let me be good to you, let me love you, and this, that, and the third. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm about to go. Like,
I'm about to go. Actually, it's time for me to leave.
Because now you're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I get up, y'all. I get up out of this chair. He doing a lot. He just like pacing, and he just like it was an extremely emotional moment, but it was such a Tyler Perry moment. Like, I left going out the driveway. He comes out the driveway, y'all. He ain't got no shirt on. He put a trench coat over his body. He comes out and he's crying, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
What just happened?
And he's just like, why don't you want me? Look at this house.
Yeah, look what you can have. Dare I say that he was like an example of, like, I think there was definitely some intentionality behind it, but also unintentional. I think the liquor brought the real trauma out.
I love that. I love that you said that, because he's absolutely, like, after, you know, and we've talked since then.
Yeah.
But after we had sober conversations, it became clear to me that, yeah, you know, you do got this ego about you, but also you got some stuff. Mm-hmm. Daddy issues, dare I say? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to put his business out there.
Of course.
But there's some stuff. There's some stuff that you need to unpack, and some stuff that you need to heal and to deal with, because you could very well be a great catch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you dealt with these things.
But instead of dealing with it, it was like, well, I'm actually going to come in money first, because who's going to turn
out?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a good little story.
It's somebody for everybody.
It's somebody for everybody. I love it.
I think he got a baby now, so somebody
Good
got.
for you.
Yeah, somebody. 18 years.
I'm weak. Okay.
Oh boy.
I have another story. That's hilarious. Okay. That was a good story. I enjoyed that. That was a good story time.
You were part of that.
I was. But see, to hear it back in the summary, I love it. Okay, so I was talking to this guy who he was like the most lover boy of lover boys. Okay? In your face. Like, when we were together, it was a moment. It was everything was great. But his was, I would say, more so emotional manipulation, because what he would do is, when we weren't together, I can give you a perfect example. We had went on a date, okay? The date ended, the date was great. I kissed him on the end of the date. It wasn't that he didn't want the kiss, I initiated, let me say that. I initiated the kiss, right? So if I'm obviously initiating the kiss, I like this. This is going good. Mm-hmm. And the text message I got from him the next day was like, well, I just really don't know if you like me. I feel all these feelings. And it was kind of going back to the point we made earlier about like checking in with people and like, you don't know what's going on with me, but you just want to dump right now. And I was just like, it left me with a lot of nothing, because I'm just like, I really don't know what to say to this.
What?
Because we had an amazing date. The date ended great. Like, what's going on? And so here I am coming in with the reassurance, because I do that. And so I'm like, okay, so to double that off,
sure, let's pick this wounded soldier up.
Exactly. Right. Let me pick you up. Okay, regardless of what's happening with me, let me pick you up. We're gonna go on 2 dates this week. And one of the dates, you're gonna come to my home, and let me tell y'all, I have never been that girl. I don't know if it's the true crime I watch, but I am very paranoid about people coming into my home until we like locked in, okay? And so here we are, maybe a month now.
I know who this is.
Yeah, girl. Hey, Tom. Here we are, a month into dating. You're at my home. We are caked all the way up. I ain't gonna say what we watching. He might watch this. I don't know. Maybe. He's having a midlife crisis. Anyway. But anyway, we're caked up. We're having a phenomenal time. And I don't know if it was like me telling him like, okay, you have to leave now. I have to go to bed, because it had gotten late. But everything changed after that. I kid y'all not. Like, we were caked up. I think he just knew he was gonna spend the night, and I was like, okay, gotta get up for work in the morning. Like, but we got this other date Saturday. Like, it's gonna be a great time.
Boundaries.
And so walked into the door. Here we are with another kiss. Please let me know when you make it home. He let me know when he made it home, and every day after that just became the withholding less and less and less. And I was just like, okay, so that was a Tuesday, okay? That Thursday, I checked in. I'm like, hey, you okay? Like we were just talking about, what's going on? Oh, no, I'm fine. I just been doing a lot of stuff with, my family, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Very excited about our Saturday date. Didn't hear from him at all Friday. Didn't hear from him Saturday until about 5 p.m. when we were supposed to go on a 7 p.m. date, saying that he had to babysit. And I knew at that point in time that was BS, because the first, check this out, y'all. I didn't even mention this. The first time we were actually supposed to go on our first real date, he gave that same excuse. But then told me later down the line, like, no, I was feeling really anxious, and so I just pulled that card. You've told me that. You've exposed that. And so here you are now pulling the card again, and I'm supposed to...
You couldn't pull another card.
You needed to pull another card. And did not. And so I was like, okay, well, goodbye. Because I don't know about y'all, and just a quick tip for everybody, again, for all the folks. If you are supposed to go on a date with somebody and you don't hear from that person, I'm not even going to say 24, within 32 hours, you should just consider it not happening. Because why are we not talking? Even if it's regular communication, why are we not talking? That's just me. Everyone may not feel that way, but I do.
I feel it. No, I think that's reasonable. Like I said earlier when I was talking to one of my friends, it's like you're talking to this individual regularly. Some form of communication.
Right.
Maybe not on the phone every day. Maybe not on the phone for hours. But you're communicating via text, phone, whatever the case may be. Since you brought up a withdrawal.
Yes.
I guess I will too, because this is when I learned what love bombing was. So I was dating this beautiful woman, and what's the gesture that you did? Incoming?
Incoming!
Love bomb! I don't know. I thought, like I said, we kicking it off, having a good time. It's light, you know what I mean? Not too much. Which there was that mutuality there. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And then the little stuff for me are big things.
Right.
Like, I deal with body aches and pains often, so massages mean a lot to me. Whether they're hand massages, foot massages, back massages, that means a lot to me. My love language is touch.
Yeah.
And so that was happening, and then it wasn't happening.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, we were talking, and then we weren't talking.
Mm-hmm.
There was affection, and then there wasn't affection. And it was just like, it led to so much bewilderment, guys. Like, I had never, honestly, I guess there needs to be tears for love bombing, because I had never even experienced that before. Like, it was like, I'm here, but I'm not. I would keep my big toe in this water, but not too much.
Yeah.
And you're left to think, like, did I do something? Like, shorty not interested no more.
Yeah.
Maybe she don't find me as attractive.
Right.
Maybe somebody else has come into the picture. Whatever. You know, you just get to doing that thing.
Absolutely.
You know, if you like me, that's what your mind does. And so it kind of leads me, you know, we kind of talked about the point of when we knew something was off in these situations, but this particular situation leads me to the next point, which is why it's so confusing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you feel like you finally, like, you've been chosen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You found your
Feels
match.
good.
You got somebody that can meet these needs for you. They're showing up in the way that you need them to show up. And it feels good, and you're like, finally someone sees me, like, finally. But real intimacy, guys, is a slow build.
Yes.
It doesn't happen just vastly. It's a slow build. It's not as fast paced. It does take time. It takes conflict. It takes resolve. It takes not so good days, right? It takes being human. All of those things are what build intimacy. If you decide that you're going to be engaged or marry someone that you haven't seen upset yet, I would caution you, because the reality is that you don't really know that person until you see them dealing with hard stuff.
Yeah, that's real.
Hard stuff. What does this person look like, you know, in a financial crisis, the loss of a loved one? You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like for them? And are you able to still show up and be there for them in that, right? Because that's a part of the human experience. Everybody not going to be 120% all the time. That's just not real.
Right.
Okay? So manage your expectations better. But it's important for us to make that differentiation. I like to say that first love is at first fart.
That's hilarious.
If you feel comfortable enough to poop, and I know somebody gonna be like, all right, Joy, that's too much. No, I am a human being, and one thing about it, I'm not gonna have no diverticulitis for no If I got some gas, I may excuse myself. If I'm asleep, it's an unconscious act. If it slip out, I'm sorry, whatever. But the reality is that this is me. This is me being a human being, okay?
Yeah.
It's me being a person. So if people are putting all their best cards out there, they're unable to maintain them, that will then create space for confusion, no?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So who are you? Are you this person or are you that person? And don't let them tell you that they this person. Now you're real confused because they've been this person
this whole time.
This whole time. You know what I mean? So that's my experience with love bombing. Sorry. Hippie has made his way into the camera. He was doing so well.
I'm not editing that out. He was doing really good. Okay. Anyway, why it's confusing. Okay, so when you're thinking about confusion, right, you'll notice that there are a lot of red flags. We know red flags, okay? So we talked about a little bit of them earlier, but I'm gonna say them again. So like those are those fast declarations of love. Y'all are one date in, they like, I think I love you.
I'm in love.
I'm in love. You're my soulmate. No, I know that we want life to be a Hallmark movie, you guys, but no, we can't do that. We can't do that. You can't tell me that you love me. You don't know me, okay? Immediate conversations about marriage and future plans. Disrespecting those boundaries. Heavy on that. We have to say that many times because I want y'all to know. Don't let these people disrespect your boundaries. That is a huge red flag.
Honor your bedtime.
Honor your bedtime. Or whatever. Honor your D&D. Whatever it is that you need.
Sit down.
The constant texting or need for communication. There is nothing wrong with being in communication with people, you know, during the day. We're adults, we work, you want to let people know you're thinking about them, fine. But if you are gone for, let's just say, because I'll use me as an example, I'm really good for this. I might be texting someone like, oh, getting off work, so excited. Then they don't hear from me for 2 hours. That may be because I went home and took me a nap. But when I wake up, you're going to hear from me. Right. But waking up to a bunch of, what you doing? Where'd you go? What's going on? That's a red flag. It is not time for you to call on 911. That is a red flag.
Yeah, you got to get to know people, man.
Yeah.
Like for in the beginning, that is a red flag. Like, what's to you? You all right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, in the words of Quee, is you cool?
Is you cool?
Right. Because for me, I like to be funny like that. If I know a mug sleep, I'm finna flood you.
Oh, for sure. That's different. That's different.
That's you having already established a relationship with them.
Yeah.
You haven't established a relationship with this person. You scaring them.
Exactly.
That's scary.
That's scary. That's scary. Do not alert the troops. I was just taking me a little nap, okay? The over the top gifts and gestures, okay? Here's a big one, y'all. We didn't talk about this one earlier.
Uh-oh.
Isolating you from others.
Oof.
That is a big red flag.
Oof.
That is a huge red flag. And unfortunately, it is a common red flag.
Yeah.
I want everybody to stop for a second, close your eyes, and I want you to think of that friend that's in a relationship that disappears. They are gone. You ain't heard from them. Okay? And I'm here to tell you, sometimes it's them, but sometimes it's the partner.
Sometimes it's the partner. I don't want you hanging around so and so no more.
Yeah, no, I don't like how you are when you with them. I don't like that, you know, they're single and whatever excuses they give you.
Yeah.
Taking you away from somebody, especially, right? Because, and I think we do this very well. And I mean, we've both always been very proud of our friends and very, you know, I'm making this word up, bragatory on our friends, right? Talk about our people. But I think especially now in your 30s, it is so important to establish that early on, okay? We have said on this podcast before that we affectionately call each other wife.
Yes.
And so when I am talking to somebody new, that is absolutely how I describe this woman. Mm-hmm. Oh, my wife Joy. Oh, my, you know, if you hear me talk about, oh, my best friend and my da-da-da, but if I'm talking about this woman, I am going to say my wife.
Right.
And the reaction that I get from that is going to tell me everything I need to know. Because honestly, it's a question, right? Like, hey, well, why do you call this person your wife? And if you're really getting to know this person and you're really caring about the people in their life, once you hear the reason that both of us give, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, yeah, I can rock with that. I'm fine with
It's
that.
a point of conversation for sure.
It is a point of conversation, but it's very telling, the reaction to that, and it leads into that isolation, and it leads into, because I say that to say as a transition point, I wish that I would be, and I mean wish like I wish a nigga I wish that I would be in a situation and somebody would bring her up. No, I really don't. Hey, I'm going to record the podcast today. You know, when you get with Joy, and you're blocked. And you're blocked. Bye. We have nothing else to talk about. Because there's actually nothing that you can say that you have picked up in this short amount of time, especially without meeting her, that would make me feel any type of way.
Okay, yeah. I share that sentiment too.
Absolutely.
I share that sentiment too. Now, if you want to talk about it, as she mentioned, we
can talk about it. We can have those conversations.
But if you come to the conclusion that this is what your expectation is, then you want me to choose?
Right. Please don't. You don't ask me to choose. Please.
But it's such a, you know, isolating. She said this. It's sad, but it is a common thing. It's a common thing for people to be isolated from their village when they are in a relationship or whatever the case may be. And like she said, it could be you. You could simply just be enthralled with this person and you're just
That's what you focus
You're
on.
very immersive in that. You know what I mean? Or it could be your partner is isolating you because they're making these boundaries around who you can hang out with, who you can speak to, etc., etc., etc. And that's a red flag. That's going to be a red flag for you. So just be mindful of that for sure.
And not only that, also I think that's a perfect transition from space, right? Talking about the space that they create, whether they're creating it for you or you're creating it for yourself. Guilt tripping when you need your own space. It does not matter, y'all, how much you are feeling somebody, how much you love somebody. Everybody needs that me time.
Yes.
It is a very human. You should not feel guilty for it. And so if you are in a situation with somebody and they try and make that a problem, that is definitely a red flag. You need to flag on the play, exit stage left, okay? There is nothing wrong with spending time with yourself. We have advocated for that before. It is necessary.
Okay.
And if that person can't give you that, whatever that looks like, whether that is a day, whether that is the night, whether you or they need a week, whatever the case may be, if they cannot give you that, that's a red flag.
It's a red flag. It makes me actually think about this book I read years ago by Dr. Miles Monroe. It's called Single, Married, and Life After Divorce. And the big picture, I mean, he delves into all of those things, right? But the big picture that he really highlights in all of those things is that we are all individuals. We are all single people. Even when you find yourself in relationship, it's two single people who have decided to commit to one another. And it's very imperative to emphasize in singleness, you should be a whole person. Okay?
Yes.
A whole person. And I'm happy to describe what that means, but that would give me another podcast. But at the end of the day, it means it's necessary for you to have your own stuff going on. Like, you need to have your own stuff going on. I have never, thank you, Lord, I have never needed to be up under somebody 24/24.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not been my ministry. As a matter of fact, after work, the people closest to me know that hour when I come home, I am not to be bothered.
Yes.
Calling me is very risky. I don't know if I'm going to answer that phone in that hour. That's my hour.
Yeah.
The work that I do calls me to people all day long. And so when I come home, I get to finally just be, right? Because that's a part of my human experience. That's a part of my individual experience. I'm not just gonna be at work all day and then come home and gotta be in your face immediately. No, pause. It's not happening. It's not happening. That's a hard boundary.
Yeah.
It's a hard boundary for me. So it's important that you recognize, okay, that's that time, that a long time, that whether it's getting your nails done, going to the gym, whether you just gotta come home, take a long shower or bath, whatever that space is, that's your space. That's for you. And if somebody is impeding upon that space and making you feel bad about it, they can go straight to hell.
Yeah, that part. That part. So, we talked a lot, right, about what love bombing looks like, what love bombing feels like. So now, you're one of us. You've actually been love bombed.
Yes.
You realize it. What does that look like?
I think I'm still kind of confused. I'm blessed beyond measure. See, listen, for me though, in that case, it did leave me in a oh gosh, I was actually, my feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Like, my feelings were hurt. You know, 1 minute, you know, you're getting these good morning texts and date night plans, and then the next, silence, crickets, confusion, or mixed signals, or breadcrumbing, whatever. You know what I mean? That high that felt so affirming at one point in time has now been replaced, might I say this, with anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a sense of loss, so to speak. And because of how quickly it all started, your body and your brain just haven't really caught up with that reality. That's the truth. Like, you just left there wondering, like, what the hell happened to me? what just happened to me? Did I do something wrong? Was any of that even real? Right? Like you're pondering on those questions, and it actually takes you down this self-doubt and this shame cycle, because, and this is the part I don't think people probably talk about enough. Do understand, I just learned about love bombing. But after having been love bombed, you might feel like you should have known better.
Absolutely.
Like how?
Absolutely.
How could this happen?
How could this happen to me?
How could this have happened to me? You might start replaying moments, looking for clues. Like, why didn't I catch up on that? Like, or why did I fall for something like that, right? But the truth is, it's not about how intellectual you are. It's not about how strong you are. Love bombing can be extremely strategic.
Yes.
That's for the people that it is intentional, not the unintentional people. It can be extremely strategic and confusing on purpose. They do just enough. They come in hard, and then they withdraw like a slow leak, and then they do just enough to keep you right there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's strategic. Like, you make, and listen, if you're like me, you fail for that shit.
Me too.
Like,
guilty.
Just enough, and you still showing up 100% like you've been showing up, because that's how you actually are.
Right.
That's not how they operate.
That's not how they are. Yeah, that's not them.
They were unable to sustain that behavior. That's not, and so now you like a little ashamed. You know what I mean? Like, you have a lot at that point in time to sit with, because of how much you gave, how fast you move, how much you bent over to accommodate.
Yeah.
Maybe you started even at this point in time questioning your worth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cycle, guys. Like, that's really the cycle. Your standards, your gut. Now you just like everybody.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Everybody. And that really takes me to the very last part, which is being able to build trust with future connections again. Y'all heard the term jaded. You know what I mean? That's a reality. Okay? I had to really catch myself from going into a very cynical way of thinking, if I could say that. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm already suspicious. We already have trust issues. You have to earn our trust, okay? But when you're talking about someone who's just been love bombed and they want to find their person, like they've been dating with intention, building trust and future connections could be very difficult for them. Because now I have to go through this healing process of something that wasn't even real.
Right.
Good grief.
Good grief. That's it right there. This was never real.
Good grief. The damage doesn't stop with the person who did it. It can really make future connections feel unsafe. I'm glad that, I am a whole woman. All right. But it's possible for you to hesitate to trust someone who is genuinely kind, genuinely affectionate, genuinely expressive, and they're communicative, because you've seen what that fake warmth looks like.
Exactly.
And now you questioning the validity of everything else that comes across your past.
100%.
And it's just like, oh boy.
It's tough.
That's tough.
It's tough.
And it's really not about you trying to harden your heart. That's not the case. But you do have to take the necessary time to heal it, because it might not have been real, guys, but it was real to you.
Yes. Hello, say that again.
It was real to you. Like,
real.
I'm here. I mean, the title of this podcast, like, it was a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale. Yeah.
Until it wasn't. Right? So that's the hard part. Healing requires time. Okay, it requires time, guys. You got to give yourself time. You got to learn to listen to your intuition again. Trust yourself. And do know that dating is just risky business, guys. Like, there's no cheat code. There's no nothing out there that's gonna give you 100% money back guarantee that you're gonna find your person if you do this. That's not how it works.
Right.
You have to be in tune with yourself. You have to be sensitive to the energies out there.
Yeah.
And give yourself permission to move slower moving forward. You know what I mean? Take that as a learning experience. Ask more questions. All right, ask a whole lot of questions.
Right.
Like if somebody show up with the LV and a Cuban link, ask about it.
Why are we doing this? Where'd you get this from?
What's this about?
Yeah. What's this?
I thought we were going to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cause put that back on them. Explain this, and don't be afraid to say, actually, I don't feel comfortable receiving this.
Yes.
They're gonna leave you alone.
If they are moving with negative intentions, if they are moving with malice, they will 100% leave you alone.
They're gonna leave you alone.
They're gonna be like, I can't get over on this one.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen. But with that being said, I know I was explaining, guys, quick sidebar. I was explaining this podcast to somebody earlier, and I was like, well, what do we talk about? And I'm like, we talk about like a lot of self-help, and we talk about a lot of real life issues.
Yeah.
And please understand that we are just women doing 32 for the first time. Okay. And so we can only speak from experience, and we can only be as real with y'all as what we have seen. All that being said, our intention with these episodes is really to have that healthy conversation, never to make it too heavy.
Yeah.
But I do understand that, like, love bombing is heavy. We had some conversations about whether this episode would invoke some emotion, or what that would look like. And so if you're feeling that way right now, I encourage you to journal. I encourage you to write down how you felt about that situation, and write down what you want to do differently moving forward. But with all that being said, I do want to end this with the affirmation. Right? Because we want to, we have to talk about the bad, y'all. We got to talk about the lows, because the only way that we're going to get back up to those highs is handling our lows head on, right?
Yes.
So, here's the affirmation that we want to leave you guys with, okay? I trust myself to recognize real love when it shows up. I am worthy of steady, respectful, and intentional connection. I do not have to settle for anything that overwhelms my peace or confuses my heart. I honor my boundaries, I listen to my intuition, and I give myself the love I deserve first. So if you need to pause and rewind, so you can write that down, so you can have it on the post-it on the mirror. I will leave it in the bio about the video, so you can just copy and paste it if you want. I would love if people would write it on something and take a picture and tag us or something. That could be really cool.
Share.
But also just share, get in the comments, y'all. Talk about your experiences. We are not Hollywood. We will comment back.
Yep.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
This has been a lot of fun. Again, guys, we thank you all so very much for tuning in. It's our last stretch, y'all. It's our last stretch, and then we coming regularly.
Promise.
And we gonna get it together. But every time we come, you guys know we come with the realness. We come with genuine conversation and all love here. So again, meet us in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching. Share, subscribe, send it to everybody, and we will see you next time.
See y'all later.
Peace.
Bye.